morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Welcome to our Chakra Insight This is going to be number 28 this week. So we're going to find out where the path leads us. Last week we opened our hearts with forgiveness, and we'll talk about that in a second. And so we're going to see, with our hearts more open, where the journey will take us.
Yes. So, Rebecca, where did forgiveness take you this week?
Well, forgiveness took me, at first I was thinking that it was going to be more like self-forgiveness, and I didn't really have much to forgive and going on in my life. And then because I don't have like a running list of people I need to forgive, but then situations would come up where I was like, ooh, that's a good place that could bring some forgiveness. So what I realized is that our life situations are always presenting us with opportunities to open our heart more and more, because that's why we're here, is to be clear and open-hearted, and that's why we're here on the earth, to learn how to love.
Right. Yeah.
So of course we need to remove the blocks that stand in our way from that. So forgiveness is a tool that we can use to begin removing the blocks. And so sometimes we may not know on a conscious level, like, okay, I have this to forgive, this to forgive, this to forgive, but situations will arise that we get that energetic charge, like that's a place where my heart is not completely open. So that was enlightening for me. And also I noticed that, you can't make yourself forgive. It's not possible.
Yes.
You can't just be like, I gotta forgive. It's more like a softening and a choice and a willingness. So it's like, okay, I see that situation. I recognize there's a block in my heart, and I'm willing to open up. I'm willing to forgive. And so bit by bit, it's like a process. I like to think of it as like unhooking. So it's like unhooking one by one the tendrils of energy that are connected to that situation, one by one, maybe letting go. So it's not like a complete shift all at once. It's usually just a letting go piece by piece. And then maybe one day that same situation will not have a charge over me. So
yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And thinking about, I love your analogy with the tendrils, because I do think oftentimes we want to have this like sharp, like, okay, I forgive you.
Right.
Just get it over with. But then realizing like you can't really do that. You gotta, a little bit at a time, soften. Nice. I like that. So for myself, just having this insight in my mind's eye throughout the week really helped me when I was given opportunities to be self-righteous, where I could have been like, I'm right, you're wrong, or you're just making me angry, whatever the case was in regards to my husband. Those are the most charged situations, is with your partner. And having this insight really reminded me, do I want to stay in this space? Do I want really to make this energy of anger or irritation, annoyance, whatever it is, last, past this moment? And like Rebecca said, not that it didn't immediately like, okay, now I'm done with it. It was more of a softening. Like it kind of made me soften my heart towards my husband, where it was like, okay, this is not really worth it. This is not really a situation where I need to hold on to it. But this is what Rebecca and I were talking about before. I remember a time where it felt really good to not forgive. It felt really good to stew in that anger and that self-righteousness of, I'm right and you're wrong, and I'm going to hold this against you. I'm going to hold on to this grudge or this grievance. It used to feel really good to stay there. And I think it's a power issue. I think, honestly, it's, when we are not forgiving, it keeps us in that self-righteous mode of, I have power, I am superior over you, you are wrong, I am right. And this entire journey has really helped to shift my perception of that, and realize that it takes an incredible amount of courage to be forgiving to someone else, because the reality is the other person in the situation probably is over it. They don't even realize that you're holding on to this self-righteous anger and this grudge, whatever it is. So you're only hurting yourself by being unforgiving. So it takes an incredible amount of courage to say within yourself, you know what, I'm going to release the tendrils, like you said, one at a time. It'll become less charged, less emotional, and then the power actually increases within you to be more open and receptive to other people and softer, and to yourself first and foremost, because then you give yourself some grace. So
right.
So having this in my mind's eye this week, that message of forgiveness helps in those, like you said, in those situations where it's like, oh, it's not worth it. Just move on.
Right. And one thing that I would say to myself is, I'm willing to forgive. I'm willing to forgive. So even if I wasn't really, like, even if I felt like some part of me still wanted to hold on, it's like, okay, but I want to also unblock my heart. So that really doesn't serve me to hold on, because when we block our hearts, we're not only protecting ourselves from that situation, we're also blocking our ability to connect with others and to love. So we're really not doing ourselves the service of holding on, even though it might feel good in the moment. Overall, it's just it's not a good pattern to get into.
Definitely not.
But we have to be ready and willing. So when that time comes,
yes, that's
we can't. And then we got to forgive ourselves for not forgiving sooner.
Yes, it's all just a big cycle of forgiveness.
Right.
Forgive and soften. Forgive and soften.
Right. Yes. Forgive and soften.
Yes. So we'll see where forgiveness takes us.
Yeah, with our soft, open hearts.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to pick, and Rebecca's going to read this week. I feel like this one. Let's see. Oh, pleasure. Oh. Enjoyment, beauty, sensuality, and indulgence. So the sacral chakra.
I like that one.
Yes. She looks like she's really enjoying herself.
Okay. By engaging your senses in simple pleasure, you connect with the very essence of life. So the story behind the card. There you go.
I'll show it again.
On the mossy banks of a quiet stream, a woman enjoys a quiet moment of natural sensual pleasure. Soft afternoon light kisses her face, and the taste of fresh juice on her tongue, the sounds and smells of nature gently sharing their song. With one foot dipped into the mouth of a fresh spring, the other dangles above the stream, unaware of what quiet dangers may lurk beneath, if she should lose herself entirely in the moment. But for now, all is in balance. Another quiet breath, and the threat of danger will have passed, revealing that perhaps it was never a threat in the first place. So the card message is, amidst the rapid pace and daily demands of life, taking time to indulge in pure pleasure is rarely included on our to-do list. Until now. Or it is the first to be removed once we get busy. When was the last time you did something just because it made you feel good? Now is the time to allow your senses to genuinely engage with more of the simple and profound pleasures of life. Prepare a special meal and savor each of the flavors and textures. Immerse yourself in the sounds of the natural world. Watch children or animals at play and join them. Pamper yourself or cuddle a loved one. Take the time to walk along the beach or through the trees. If you feel guilty enjoying pleasure for yourself, take a breath and sense where this feeling stems from. Remind yourself, life is meant to be enjoyed. If we never allow pleasure, we can become numb and forget how to feel. We become snappy like a crocodile, lashing out from this unfulfilled space within. If we overindulge, always looking outside of ourselves for something to feed our sensual desires, in time, our surface pleasures lose their appeal or can even become unhealthy addictions. Sensations are most pleasurable in balance. By allowing yourself to engage your senses in things you find pleasurable, you connect with the very essence of life. Joy and pleasure are fundamental ingredients of a nurtured and fulfilling existence. If we are open, we can discover simple pleasures in all moments of life. Every person deserves pleasure in their life. Give yourself full permission and, in truth, an ultimatum to include the experience of pleasure in your world.
Yes. I like how
great.
this follows forgiveness, because we have to be open and soft with ourselves and loving in order to feel like we deserve pleasure in our life.
Right.
Yeah. Wonderful.
And so now we can treat ourselves.
Treat yourself. Yes.
And give ourselves permission to relax and enjoy what surrounds us in each moment.
Absolutely. And especially with this hot, humid weather, wherever you are, especially if you're near us in lower Alabama, it's uncomfortable. So you may have that more sluggish energy, which may turn into a feeling of guilt that you're not doing enough or whatever the case is. But this is a good sign to just, it's okay. Indulge in the air conditioning.
Right.
Enjoy a nice nap on the couch.
Yes. Yeah. And so the key is, at least for me, give yourself permission to take the time to just focus on what is pleasurable for you. Just give yourself an opportunity to see what that might be.
And just notice what comes up for you. If you start to feel any sort of anxiety, and it may be, that the pleasure that you seek costs money, so, don't feel guilty. Maybe think to yourself, what can I do to manifest this in my life? Maybe it's not going to happen this week while we're focusing on pleasure, but maybe it's something that you can take a step towards to manifest in the future for yourself.
Yes.
Wonderful.
All right. Well, I think this is going to be a fun week.
Yes, absolutely.
So give yourself permission to experience pleasure.
Yes. Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Have
that
a great
could be
week.
our tagline.
Yes. Yes, that'll be the tagline for this week.
All right.
Absolutely.
Have a great week.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.